The gleaming expanse of Zenith Station spun lazily in the velvet blackness of space, a halo of light and technology orbiting Earth. In the year 2247, this colossal hub of intergalactic diplomacy thrummed with life, a testament to humanity's reach and ambition. Beneath the station's shimmering exterior, the air was alive with the hum of machinery and the chatter of species from across the galaxy. Dr. Alara Kane stood at her lab's observation window, her eyes lost in the sprawling vista of stars and planets. The rhythmic pulse of her research console was a comforting backdrop to her thoughts as she analyzed alien flora samples. A soft, melodic chime signaled an incoming message, interrupting her focused concentration. She glanced at the screen. It was a routine update from the station's defense network. Her heart skipped a beat when the alarm klaxon erupted, its harsh tones slicing through the station's usual hum. The message changed from routine to urgent. Incoming fleet detected. Andromeda Sector. Code, Xyler. Dr. Kane's pulse quickened. Xyler the Conqueror, his name was legend among the stars, a harbinger of destruction and domination. She raced to the command center, her lab coat flaring behind her as she navigated the winding corridors now filled with hurried footsteps and panicked voices. Inside the command center, chaos reigned. Displays flickered with warnings, and officers barked orders. Their faces etched with tension. Dr. Kane's arrival didn't go unnoticed. She was met by Commander Ortega, whose usual stoic demeanor was cracked with visible worry. "Alara, we need your expertise," Ortega's voice was taut. "Xyler's fleet is equipped with weapons we've never seen before. Our defenses are failing." Dr. Kane's mind raced. She took in the sight of the massive space station, its outer hull pocked with bursts of fire as Xyler's forces breached the defenses. The station's once stable orbit wobbled under the weight of the assault. "Give me a status update," she demanded, approaching a central console. One of the officers, eyes wide with desperation, handed her a readout. "We've lost primary shields and our countermeasures are ineffective. The enemy is deploying a new type of energy weapon that's penetrating our defenses." Dr. Kane's fingers danced over the console, pulling up schematics of Xyler's ships. Patterns of the energy weapons emerged, revealing a critical vulnerability, a slight delay in their firing sequence. A flicker of hope ignited in her chest. "We can exploit this," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "If we can disrupt their energy matrix at the right moment, we might be able to disable their weapons long enough to mount a counterattack. Can you coordinate a strike?" Ortega asked, urgency in his tone. Dr. Kane nodded. "I'll need a team. We have to act fast before they breach the core systems." As she prepared to lead the desperate mission, her thoughts flashed back to her mentor, who had dedicated his life to fostering peace between worlds. The weight of her responsibility felt heavier now, a mantle she could not afford to drop. The station quaked with another impact. And Dr. Kane took a deep breath. Her team gathered around, ready to face the unknown. The fight for survival had begun, and the fate of Earth hinged on their next move. The blaring sirens of Zenith Station had become a constant companion, their shrill cries echoing through the labyrinthine corridors. Dr. Alara Kane's pulse pounded in her ears as she directed her team of engineers and tactical officers. The once bustling command center now resembled a war room, its screens flashing red alerts and tactical maps. "Damage report." Kane barked, her voice cutting through the cacophony. She surveyed the damage with a sinking feeling. The attack had wreaked havoc on the station's infrastructure. Sparks flew from malfunctioning panels, and the hum of failed systems filled the air with an unsettling tension. "Shields are down, and power flux is unstable," Lieutenant Vargas replied. His brow furrowed in frustration. "We've lost communication with several sectors. The breach is worse than we feared." Dr. Kane's gaze fell on the flickering display showing Xyler's ships closing in on the station's core. The alien warlords' fleet had turned their advanced energy weapons on the station's most vulnerable points, aiming to cripple its defenses and force a surrender. "We need to stabilize the power grid," Kane ordered, her mind racing. "And we have to figure out how to exploit that weakness in Xyler's technology." Time is running out. Her command was met with swift action. Engineers scrambled to reroute power, while tactical officers prepared for a potential counteroffensive. Amidst the chaos, Kane found a moment to catch her breath. She looked out through the station's observation window, seeing the distant flashes of battle in space. A soft voice broke through her thoughts. "Dr. Kane, a moment." It was Dr. Alvarado, her colleague and a skilled xenobiologist. His eyes were shadowed with doubt. "I've been reviewing the data on Xyler's weapons. I'm not convinced the plan will work. Their technology is beyond anything we've encountered." Kane met his gaze, her resolve hardening. "We don't have the luxury of doubt. If we don't act now, the station will fall. We have to trust our expertise and take the risk." Alvarado nodded, though unease lingered in his eyes. As he returned to his tasks, Kane allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Her mentor's voice echoed in her memory, a reminder of the sacrifices made for the pursuit of peace. The weight of her responsibility felt heavier with every passing second. "Dr. Kane." Vargas's voice jolted her back to the present. "We've detected a new energy signature. It's coming from Xyler's flagship. It looks like they're about to launch a concentrated attack on our core systems." Kane's heart sank. The core systems were critical to the station's survival. If Xyler's forces succeeded, they would have no way to repel the invasion. "Everyone, prepare for an emergency countermeasure." Kane commanded, her voice ringing with authority. "We're going to use the data we've gathered to create a disruption field. It's our best chance to buy time and hit back." The team leaped into action. Their movements precise and urgent. As they worked to implement the disruption field, Kane glanced once more at the screens showing the approaching fleet. The station shuddered from another impact, and her determination solidified. This was the moment of truth. The battle for Zenith Station and Earth's survival hinged on their next move. Dr. Kane could only hope that their desperate gamble would be enough to turn the tide. The space surrounding Zenith Station was now a turbulent theater of war. Flashes of light and shadow danced across the vast canvas of space, painting a grim picture of the conflict. Dr. Alara Kane's breath came in sharp, controlled bursts as she prepared her team for the most critical phase of their desperate counterattack. The command center had transformed into a nerve center of frantic activity. Tactical officers, engineers, and support staff bustled around, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of holographic displays. Kane's team, outfitted in combat suits, gathered around her, each one bracing for the impending assault. "Status report," Kane demanded, her voice slicing through the din of the room. "Disruption field is online," Vargas reported, his face taut with concentration. "We've synchronized it with the energy signature data. The field should interfere with Xyler's weapons, but we need to deploy it manually from the outer hull." Kane nodded. "Then let's move. We don't have much time." The team boarded a sleek, armored shuttle and sped towards the outer hull of Zenith Station. The shuttle's thrusters roared, propelling them through the chaos of the battle. Xyler's flagship loomed ahead, a menacing behemoth bristling with weaponry. Its dark hull was studded with flickering lights and glistening energy conduits, each one a potential target. The shuttle docked at a maintenance port on the outer hull. Kane and her team disembarked, their boots magnetically adhering to the surface of the station. The vacuum of space was a silent, oppressive backdrop to their movements. "We need to set up the emitters here," Kane instructed, pointing to the designated locations on the hull. "It's a tight window. Once we activate the field, we'll have to coordinate with the station's remaining defenses to maximize the disruption." As they worked, a flicker of movement caught Kane's eye. Xyler's flagship was adjusting its targeting systems, preparing for another concentrated assault. The seconds ticked away with agonizing slowness. "Dr. Kane." Alvarado's voice crackled through the comms. "We've detected a massive energy surge from the flagship. They're preparing to fire." Kane's heart raced. "Prepare to activate the field. We're going to intercept their attack." The team worked with feverish intensity, the emitters buzzing to life as they set them in place. Kane tapped into the station's command network, synchronizing their efforts with the disruption field. The massive energy surge from Xyler's flagship roared toward Zenith Station. A wave of destructive power hurtling through space, now. Kane shouted, the disruption field flared into existence, its oscillating waves rippling outward. The flagship's energy beam struck the field, and a blinding explosion of light erupted as the beam dissipated into harmless sparks. The flagship shuddered violently, its weapon system stalling. Direct hit. Vargas cheered. The flagship's weapons are down. But Kane's relief was short-lived. Xyler's flagship was not yet defeated. The warlord himself appeared on a holographic projection, his visage twisted with rage. Your defiance is futile, Earthlings, Xyler's voice boomed, filled with menace. You may have delayed my plans. But this is only the beginning. We'll see about that, Kane retorted, her voice steely with determination. We're not done yet. As the team moved to secure their position and reinforce the station's defenses, the battle raged on. The disruption field had given them a critical advantage, but the true test lay in their ability to turn this temporary reprieve into a decisive victory. The final confrontation had begun, and Dr. Kane knew that every moment counted. The fate of Zenith Station, and Earth, hung in the balance. The battle had raged through the night, a relentless maelstrom of energy and steel. As dawn broke over Zenith Station, the once vibrant expanse of space was marked by the aftermath of a fierce struggle. The station, though battered, stood resilient amidst the debris of war. Dr. Elara Kane emerged from the shuttle, her suit scorched and her face smeared with grime. Her team, similarly wearied but unbroken, followed closely behind. The command center was a hive of activity, now focused on damage control and recovery. Damage report, Kane demanded as she entered the command center. Her voice was hoarse but determined. Lieutenant Vargas looked up from his console, his expression a mix of relief and exhaustion. We've stabilized the core systems and reactivated the shields. The disruption field was a success. Xyler's flagship is retreating. We've sustained heavy damage, but we're holding. Kane glanced at the screens, where Xyler's fleet, now a fraction of its former strength, was pulling back. The sight of the retreating ships was a bittersweet victory. The station's hull was scarred, its corridors littered with debris, but the immediate threat had been neutralized. As the tension in the command center eased, Kane found a quiet corner and removed her helmet, allowing the cool air of the station to refresh her. Her thoughts wandered to her mentor, whose legacy had been a beacon of hope and diplomacy. She could almost hear his voice, urging her to persevere. Dr. Alvarado approached, his face etched with both weariness and respect. Elara, I owe you an apology. I doubted the plan, but you were right. We wouldn't have made it without your leadership. Kane managed a tired smile. We all doubted at times, Alvarado. What matters is that we came together when it counted. A soft hum interrupted their conversation as Commander Ortega joined them, his expression a mix of gratitude and resolve. We've received a transmission from Xyler. He's retreating to the Andromeda Galaxy, but he's vowed to return. Kane nodded, her eyes narrowing with determination. Then we need to prepare. We've bought ourselves time, but we can't afford to be complacent. We need to fortify our defenses and strengthen our alliances. The command center buzzed with a renewed sense of purpose. Teams began to assess and repair the damage, while strategists outlined plans for future defenses and diplomatic efforts. The crisis had forged new bonds among the station's diverse inhabitants. A testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. As the station's lights flickered back to life and the first rays of artificial sunlight filtered through the observation windows, Kane took a moment to gaze out at the serene beauty of Earth below. The planet was a fragile jewel in the vastness of space, a symbol of what they had fought so hard to protect. The victory was hard-won, but it was a victory nonetheless. Dr. Kane felt a deep sense of accomplishment and a renewed commitment to her mission. Zenith Station and Earth had survived, but the challenges ahead would be formidable. the dawn of a new chapter began as the station's inhabitants moved forward, their spirits buoyed by the triumph of their collective efforts. Dr. Kane, standing amidst the remnants of the battle, knew that their fight was far from over, but they were ready. Together, they would face whatever came next with resilience and hope.